Hello and welcome to IoT Marketing Live. I'm Tiffani Neilson, and with me is Johannes Beekman, the CEO and founder of IoT Marketing. How are you today, Johannes?
I'm doing fine, Tiffany. How are you?
Excellent. And to get things started, let's talk about the latest headlines for IoT. And an article by Forbes recently shared that we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg for IoT. And I couldn't agree more because while the visible layer seems to be simple enough, there are sensors and connectivity, the other 80 to 90% is full of complexities. And I'm sure you'll agree, Johannes, based on your comments in a previous broadcast. But can you tell us more about your opinion on that statement?
Well, first off, it's a great article in Forbes, Tiffany, and it highlights several of the issues related to the deployment of IoT devices. But as the article says, it is just the tip of the iceberg. And let me highlight the complexity of the IoT technology from a different angle. And what I'd like to use the open systems interconnection model as an example. This OSI model describes 7 layers that computer systems use to communicate over a network. The OSI model is the foundation of internet communications and hence the Internet of Things. The data flows from the sensor layer at the bottom of the stack through each layer all the way to the application layer at the top of the stack. And there are various stakeholders in each of the application layers. The stakeholders are the departments in the client on the client side who are responsible for various aspects of the stack. Now let's use sensor layer as an example. The engineering department of the customer will have to generate a specification sheet for the sensor, let's say a temperature sensor, and then check the actual spec against the required spec. The operation department will have to calibrate each thermometer and then over time check the thermometer responses against its calibration curve. The purchasing department will need to know what to do when a sensor fails. What part number or part numbers do they need to order? The engineering department will need to know how to replace a broken part, either the sensor or sensor port. So one layer, 3 stakeholders. And I also would like to highlight another issue, which is related to OSI layer 2, because it's also important. So OSI layer 2 is the processing and control layer. You'll find the CPU and the operating system in this layer. The IT department is very interested and focused on this layer because they will use layer 2 to verify the state of the software, to roll out software patches, and to verify that the patch has been deployed successfully. And the IT department needs to determine which software patch management platform they can use to patch the thousands of IoT devices that are being rolled out as part of this project. And I can go on and on through all 7 layers. So yes, Tiffany, lots of layers, lots of stakeholders, very likely multiple stakeholders for each layer. And we usually talk only about the tip of the iceberg.
Thanks, Johannes. And in our last broadcast, we discussed the release of Matter 1.0. And as more IoT devices are adopted into homes around the world, Matter is a smart home interoperability protocol. And it's not an entirely new protocol. Matter is an application layer over existing protocols, Wi-Fi and Thread. It's open source, not proprietary, and it works over your local network, so it doesn't rely on the cloud. While security is included in the Matter SDK, it's not its primary objective. The primary objective being giving devices in the home the ability to speak in the same language. And with that in mind, the White House has plans for an IoT security labeling program aimed for spring 2023. And major connected device manufacturers, retailers, and industry groups back efforts to boost cyber awareness. And what products will get the labels? Well, the White House told reporters that it would start with voluntary labeling in spring 2023, focusing on particularly vulnerable internet connected devices such as routers and home cameras. One of the top level recommendations of the U.S. Cyberspace Solarium Commission, named for Eisenhower administration's drive to rethink the Cold War strategy, was to establish a national cybersecurity certification and labeling authority. A nonprofit, non governmental organization will become a labeling authority for at least 5 years, tagging products based on the consensus of the Departments of Commerce and Homeland Security and experts from the federal government, academia, non government organizations, and the private sector. According to the White House, Amazon, Comcast, Google, Intel, LG, Samsung, Sony, and other private entities, as well as the Connectivity Standards Alliance, the consortium behind Matter, along with the American National Standards Institute, Consumer Reports, and the Consumer Technology Association, CTIA, National Retail Federation, lobbying groups, and just about every security touching government agency make up the panel the Solarium Commission recommended. Details on the label itself and what it would rate or measure were not available, but there have been hints. Cyberscoop quoted the White House official stating that device ratings could be based on vulnerability remediation, amount of information collected on consumers, whether data is encrypted, and interoperability with other products. Do you feel there's a need for IoT security labels, Johannes? And what type of information do you feel that should include?
Well, first on a side note, Tiffany, since you mentioned Matter, iOS 16.1, which was released October 24th, adds support for Matter smart home connectivity standard. So definitely it's time for a soft update if you have an iPod. Now coming back to the IoT security labels, the White House also released a statement by National Security Council spokesperson Adrienne Watson, and she mentioned that a labeling program to secure such devices would provide American consumers with the peace of mind that the technology being brought into their homes is safe, and incentivize manufacturers to meet higher cybersecurity standards and retailers to market secure devices. IoT devices are everywhere, Tiffany. They're getting so common that soon we will not realize anymore which devices are connected to the internet and which aren't. It's time for IoT security labels, and looking at the participants in the summit, it looks like the government has enough industry support to make this happen. I would also like to mention that this is part of a broad set of initiatives by the US government, from improving the cybersecurity of critical infrastructure to an international counter-ransomware initiative to strengthening cyber education and building the cyber workforce to, and you'll like this, Tiffany, a national quantum initiative that more than doubles the US states government's R&D investments in quantum technology. The government is focusing on improving the United States cyber defenses.
Thank you, Johannes. And one industry that's struggling to keep devices secure is healthcare. And according to a recent article from CDO Trends, it is estimated that this single industry produces around 30% of all data. The article highlights that in a world where the total amount of data doubles every 2 years, the likelihood is that data will soon double faster than every 2 years, meaning that the amount of health data in the system will be truly astronomical. And beyond health records, the adoption of the Internet of Things devices in the health industry creates a significant risk for cyber attacks. According to the article, at a recent confidential healthcare forum, many providers admitted that the hacking of IoT devices was a doomsday scenario, which kept them up at night. As an example of how serious security vulnerabilities for healthcare can be, a modest sized hospital will have several hundred connected devices, and the number is only increasing. According to a recent study by healthcare cybersecurity provider Cinero, 56% of hospitals have had their IoT or IoMT devices attacked in the past 2 years. 88% of those data breaches involved IoT devices, and an alarming figure is that 53% of medical IoT devices have at least one critical vulnerability. Given what's at stake, 47% of attacked hospitals pay the ransom when victimized by ransomware. And more alarming is that 24% of hospitals reported increased mortality rates as a result of a cyber attack. And this seems like a pretty big issue to me, Johannes, but what are your thoughts on this?
Well, this is a perfect storm, Tiffany. First, ransomware attacks against healthcare organizations have been increasing for the last several years. No data appears to be stolen, but lives are on the line, so healthcare organizations typically pay. So this is all about the money. Second, over the past 3 years, driven by the pandemic, the healthcare industry has rapidly adopted IoT technology. IoT has reshaped many aspects of our everyday life, but it has also led to a complete overhaul of the healthcare industry. We reported the benefits of IoT technology in the healthcare industry in our 2020 telehealth webinar. And as the AT&T cybersecurity reports, the healthcare technology stack has been pushed out all the way to the edge, with telemedicine and pop-up clinics, for example, with a heavy reliance on edge computing. Before the pandemic, the healthcare industry was already drowning in data. Adding more IoT devices significantly increases the amount of data generated by the healthcare industry. And third, according to the same report, 63.8% of healthcare organizations ranked attacks against server data at the network edge as cyber threats of highest concern to them. In other words, the network edge is emerging as a cybersecurity attack surface.
Interesting, Johannes. Thank you. And one company that is raising the bar for cybersecurity is Thales, as they expand their encryption key management innovations to help organizations achieve digital sovereignty across hybrid and multi cloud environments. And according to the 2022 Thales Cloud Security Study, multi cloud adoption is accelerating, with 72% of all organizations surveyed using multiple cloud service providers. In addition, 52% of respondents in the study said they manage the keys to their cloud encrypted data in their cloud provider console. CipherTrust Cloud Key Manager, the industry leading multi cloud encryption key lifecycle management solution, enables customers to migrate to the cloud and manage both native cloud keys as well as bring your own keys, or BYOK. The Thales service supports growing preference among the enterprises to maintain and control their own keys outside of the cloud where their sensitive data is stored, achieve regulatory compliance, and unlock the full potential of multi cloud environments. These latest integrations help strengthen customer trust with their cloud migration, knowing that their data will always stay private and encrypted regardless of the location or state of their data. CipherTrust Cloud Key Manager now supports Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, Google Workspace, Microsoft Azure, Microsoft Office 365, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, Salesforce Sandbox, and SAP. CipherTrust Cloud Key Manager provides a single pane of glass solution that unifies different interfaces across hybrid and multi-cloud environments. Thales' ongoing partnership with multiple cloud service platforms helps customers confidently work through potential challenges, mitigating risk, ensuring compliance, and building operational resiliency across hybrid and multi cloud deployments. And we've had Rob Vanderberry appear in a lot of our content, and he'll be back again for the Summit of Things Reloaded on November 15th. But I'm curious, Johannes, what's most appealing to you about these new integrations that Thales will support?
Well, first of all, businesses large and small live in a multi-cloud and hybrid cloud environment. So a single pane of glass solution is very important to manage and keep control of all your data. Second, data compliance is part of doing data compliance and security and encryption across hybrid and multi-cloud deployments is mission critical. And third, we live in a multi-cloud environment, but adopting a multi-cloud solution increases the complexity of your business. For example, individual human errors and mistakes in the areas of access control and ID verification are weak spots that can multiply exposure points. So choosing a vendor that can help you mitigate all these risks and help you on your multi-cloud strategy is vital. And Thales CyberTrust Cloud Key Manager offers key benefits that do exactly that.
Thanks, Johannes. And our next story is from Enterprise IoT Insights. Public LoRaWAN arrives in the Great Lakes for regional IoT water management. U.S. LoRaWAN specialist Senate has been recruited by U.S. engineering firm Limnotech to deploy a public LoRaWAN network across the Great Lakes region of the U.S. This is part of the state-funded Smart Lake Erie Watershed initiative by the Cleveland Water Alliance to improve waterway management in the region. And the Smart Lake Erie watershed is also geared to accelerate water technology development by local authorities, universities, and enterprises in the area. Limnotech will also participate in Senate's so called LPWA virtual network to pool its infrastructure with equivalent regional LoRaWAN networks to form a countywide IoT connectivity service. And the new build out started in August with additional gateway deployments planned along the Ohio shoreline and other key inland and urban areas across northern Ohio. A statement said the first uses include transmitting data from the buoys to monitor offshore water conditions for the City of Cleveland Water Department near its water intakes, and additional water focused uses, including tracking toxic algae blooms, chemical spills, and urban flooding, said Senate. Plus, other applications that require dozens to hundreds of sensors to monitor environmental conditions. Johannes, what benefits and challenges do you foresee for using LoRaWAN to facilitate regional IoT water management?
Well, first of all, IoT devices are revolutionizing the water industry, Tiffany. From water flow meters to smart irrigation control to leak detectors to water quality monitoring, we have an IoT device for that. LoRaWAN is also widely used for smart water management because of its cost-effective coverage, superior battery life, and two-way communication. Also, lower TCO. Then, in addition, it is compatible with existing SCADA systems. So if you're upgrading from SCADA, LoRaWAN would be your next option. The disadvantages of LoRaWAN are the data rate is limited to 27 kbps, which is sometimes it's even lower. It has a low bandwidth, and it's not really meant for real-time or low latency applications. But for water management, I don't think that's a real issue. So to summarize, whatever water management use case you have in mind, the IoT device has already been developed, and LoRaWAN is the go-to radio access network.
Thanks, Johannes. Another story is from Forbes, and I'd like to share this on the growth of pet tech, which, according to the article, is partially due to the increase of pet ownership and the rise of pandemic puppies. The pet ownership surged with so many professionals working from home, but now, as many return to the office or resume their pre pandemic lifestyle, there is an undeniable demand for pet safety devices. With 10 million pets lost every year in the US, dogs need rules, boundaries, and limitations. Halo Collar allows pet owners to easily create those boundaries anywhere they go and communicate them to their dog in a way that it understands. The collar communicates with the dog using customizable prevention feedback based on parameters the user creates as virtual fences. The collar stores the fences created and continuously calculates when the dog is near the boundary to prompt them to turn around. As soon as they stop or turn back, the feedback stops. And if the dog has left the fence, the halo even uses a return whistle to guide them back to safety. And the collar utilizes extremely accurate GPS and GNSS location tracking to keep dogs safe and sends their location in real time via Bluetooth, Wi Fi, and cellular. And as a pet owner that has searched diligently for the right pet tracking solution, I like the benefits of being able to create a fence virtually as opposed to a physical fence. And the return whistle is definitely a key selling point there. But given my pet is a cat, I'm curious about your thoughts on this technology, Johannes. And are you going to be getting a collar like this for your dog, Xena?
Well, honestly, I'm tempted, Tiffany, because Zena is very energetic and she likes to roam, but so I'll keep it in mind. But you bring up another interesting market trend. Pet tech is a booming market. It's $1 billion market. And Black Friday is around the corner. I'm sure that pet tracking devices or the invisible fence that you just mentioned, smart pet feeders, smart pet fountains, and let's not forget Furbo, the interactive door camera, will do well this holiday season. What's your favorite pet tech gadget for the season, Tiffany?
Well, Johannes, I'm not sure that it's the Furbo model, but my brother has a camera that launches treats and he loves it. So I would definitely look at that as my next pet tech option. or purchase rather. Next, let's look at the industrial side of IoT as Phoenix Contact recently celebrates the world's largest portfolio of PCB connection technology. COO of Phoenix Contact and president of the business area device connectors, Torsten Jen Lueck, stated, "We are naturally very proud of the 50-year success story of our Combicon product portfolio. The Combicon connectors and PCB terminal blocks represent their largest portfolio of device and PCB connection technology worldwide, enabling Phoenix Contact as the market leader to constantly set new global trends and standards, as reflected in their anniversary slogan, the spirit of connecting." And we will also have Phoenix Contact join us for the Summit of Things Reloaded on November 15th. But Johannes, considering your background in semiconductors, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on this story?
Well, this is an interesting market, Tiffany. First of all, the PCB market is growing steadily and will continue to grow steadily, driven by the booming IoT industry. Second, the IoT industry is driving a miniaturization of the circuit board and the connectors, mainly for wearables. And Phoenix Contact has been in the electronics industry for so long, it's going to be interesting to see how far and how small they can shrink the connectors and the terminals.
Thanks, Johannes. And our next story comes from PR Newswire. Molex, a global electronics leader and connectivity innovator, recently released a new report that examines the emerging world of the industrial metaverse and its impact on next generation Internet of Things infrastructures. To help companies prepare for what lies ahead, the new report by Molex, Unleashing the Power of the Industrial Metaverse, offers pragmatic insights on the integration of physical and virtual technologies and processes to speed product design cycles while improving production line efficiencies and economics. Molex, along with Arrow, commissioned the development of this report to offer perspective on how the industrial metaverse will transform manufacturing through increased adoption of AI, augmented and virtual reality, digital twins, machine learning, and predictive analytics. These early enablers are already gaining traction in the industrial setting to support manufacturing, automation, process optimization, remote assistance, and training, as well as predictive maintenance. What are your thoughts on the industrial metaverse, Johannes?
It's an interesting development, Tiffany. I think it's certainly at this point fair to say that Meta is giving the metaverse a bad rap, and at the same time, there are other companies that are seriously working on an industrial metaverse. Now, the industrial metaverse sits at the crossroads of IoT, augmented reality, and virtual reality, digital twins, and robotics. One use case that is being used for the industrial metaverse is the design of an aircraft. By building a digital twin during the design and manufacturing phase, engineers can troubleshoot its design and operation in the virtual world, test its performance, tolerances, speed, etc., before building and finishing it in the physical world. And you could continue using the digital twin throughout the life cycle of the plane. Another use case, which also keeps popping up in the industrial metaverse, would be a digital twin of a section of a city. It enables traffic managers and urban planners to simulate traffic and congestion conditions and test mitigation strategies and solutions. So we're seeing the beginnings of all this. It's all available, but in the industrial metaverse, you'll see much more digital twins being used in small and large projects. And also, you would develop your digital twin in the engineering phase of the project, then use it in the operations phase throughout the life cycle of the tool, the plane, or the car. So to summarize, the metaverse absolutely has legs, Tiffany. The industrial metaverse certainly has.
Thanks, Johannes. And speaking of the metaverse concept, according to Head Topics, the social use case is struggling to deliver on performance and subscription promises, referring to Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse as a sad virtual world. In Meta's latest metaverse push, the $1,500 Meta Quest Pro virtual reality headset has made its official public debut with a lightweight design and better tech functionality that allows users to navigate digital worlds in full color. Apparently, despite an improved design and user experience, the headset's price tag isn't enticing customers. Plus, internal documentation shows that Meta's Horizon Worlds Metaverse offering has failed to reach its goals for monthly active users, with only 200K instead of the anticipated 500K estimated users. And Maverick noted that most visitors don't return to Horizon Worlds after their first month, with critics calling its emptiness sad. And Fast Company also noted that Meta has lost more than $600 million since its name change. Mark Zuckerberg has maintained the message that Meta is all in on the metaverse, but with Horizon World's lackluster performance thus far, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on this, Johannes?
For sure, Meta is all in on the metaverse, Tiffany. They are spending billions and are committed to spending billions more. However, unlike the industrial metaverse, where there are clear use cases benefits, Mark Zuckerberg still has to make the case for the metaverse.
Thanks, Johannes. And Meta is not the only one facing losses, as CNBC recently released an article on the downturn of cryptocurrencies. According to Beekman, co founder of blockchain platform Tizo, the ongoing crypto winter is only going to get worse as the industry recalibrates to a higher interest rate world. The Federal Reserve enacted a fourth consecutive 0.75% interest hike on November 2nd, immediately resulting in volatility for Bitcoin. Economists expect that we could see a pause in Federal Reserve rate hikes next year that could assist crypto markets to rally, but Brightman also said that there would be a shift in crypto and tech evaluations being based on anticipatory benefits to actual user growth and without the ability to keep using cheap tactics to get easy come, easy go users in the door. Usage of the network has increased in 2021, Brightman said, driven by demand from the art world, where digital artists are minting art on the blockchain and trading it. This use is providing one of the only sources of organic growth in the industry more broadly, she said. The notion of the end of the era of easy money in crypto is one that analysts have been discussing in recent months amid the downturn, especially considering the rising energy costs. And last year, around this time, we hosted the Smart Money 4.0 webinar. And since then, we've seen many advancements surrounding blockchain technology. But it seems crypto is not experiencing the same growth we're witnessing for blockchain as a whole. Should we prepare for the crypto winter, Johannes? And what do you predict for the future of crypto?
Well, the crypto winter started back in May, Tiffany, and still we're the 6 months down the road. There's still a lot of bad news in the press about cryptocurrencies and exchanges. Today there was news about Binance buying the FTX exchange. And also to give another example of what's happening with crypto, Dogecoin surged more than 70% 2 weeks ago after Elon Musk sealed a $44 billion deal to take over Twitter. So there's a lot of volatility in all the cryptocurrencies. But to finish the Dogecoin story, of course, it's nice if you had Dogecoins 2 weeks ago, but the currency itself is still in a long-term downward trend. We're still deep in the crypto winter. There's going to be more consolidation, but crypto is still around. It's still there. It's still a viable option, and the industry will have to figure out how to get through this and come up with a solution that all of us can use.
Thanks, Johannes. And with inflation and the energy crisis top of mind for people and businesses around the world, solutions for reducing energy consumption and increasing energy stability are growing in importance. Abundant IoT announced recently the launch of the most sought after IoT product in the channel, eIoT or Energy IoT, including the launch of the green generator and a filter that can save over 10% on electricity anywhere in the US. The eIoT solution allows companies to plan and manage energy consumption through a dashboard tailored exclusively to their needs. While sensor solutions are the mainstay in the IoT space, Abundant IoT takes it to the next level by offering a way to predict spending and the use of electricity and other energy services as a part of their solution. Stated Vince Bradley, CEO of Abundant IoT. With ESG ratings being given out to all businesses next year, he says, the increased price of energy coupled with the 60 plus billion being allocated to the energy space due to the Inflation Reduction Act, there could not be a better time to tap into eIoT solutions. And we will also have Vince Bradley join us for the Summit of Things Reloaded on November 15th to tell us more about eIoT. But what do you think of eIoT solutions, Johannes?
It's interesting that they launched eIoT at an MSP summit, Tiffany. It's a great solution that can save up to 10% on electricity anywhere in the US. And I like it that we're talking about solutions instead of sensors. So it's a more mature product. I also like that it is ready for the MSP channel, which means that the product is mature enough to push into the MSP world. We should ask Vince if they plan to launch eIoT in other channels as well.
Thanks, Johannes. And in closing, I want to give a big shout out to another participant in the Summit of Things Reloaded, Blues Wireless. And they published a fun and insightful article on Hackster.io on how to frighten trick-or-treaters with a clever concept for building a jump scare skeleton that is remotely triggered using the Blues Wireless note card. And it is a great article for anyone that enjoys do-it-yourself IoT projects. This is definitely a fun read for you to check out. And as we wrap things up, we do want to announce that we will be recreating the Summit of Things as a virtual only event on Tuesday, November 15th, under the name Summit of Things Reloaded. And this event will take place on a unique, experience driven platform with over 12 hours of content, 28 speakers, and 20 sessions. For anyone that missed the original Summit of Things event that we hosted at the City of Las Vegas International Innovation Center, this is your opportunity to connect with us, our speakers, and each other. And we've reduced the price to only $49.99 for all access tickets. So get your ticket now at iotmktg.com. Is there anything you'd like to share, Johannes, about the Summit of Things Reloaded?
Well, as you mentioned, Tiffany, we have 12 hours of great content, different formats, keynotes, panel discussions, fireside chats. Each and every attendee can build its own calendar, and the platform will help with building the calendar for the day. It's a great experience. It's a very interesting platform. Join the event. It's going to be a great day.
Thanks, Johannes. And nominations are still open for our third annual Industry Insights IoT Awards through November 15th. So this is your last chance to nominate a person or business that you feel deserves recognition for their accomplishments in 2022. So you can also nominate now at iotmktg.com. And we also have some great events scheduled for 2023, including our 2023 Emerging Trends Edition this January and Intelligent Thinking this February, as well as the Green Things Summit in April. Reach out to us to learn more about our speaking, sponsorship, and advertising opportunities, as well as our end-to-end marketing, PR, and production services. Any final thoughts, Johannes?
No, I just would like to mention that all the content that we see here has been developed and produced in-house. Also, all the content in the Summit of Things Reloaded, the virtual, has been developed here in-house. So what you can do for us, we can do for all our clients. So make sure to join the summit, enjoy the talks, enjoy the platform and the networking.
Thank you, Johannes, and thank you to everyone who watched this broadcast. And remember to get your ticket now to join us on November 15th for the Summit of Things Reloaded. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Bye-bye.